Today I am going to share you my experience of starting from this jackfruit tree to the American Diabetes Association's annual conference to prove that a Kerala tradition of consuming the unripe jackfruit as a replacement to rice is actually good for diabetes, and that is a road never taken. Reason being that the last week of November, the diabetes month, at a diabetes symposium, Chief Justice of India in his inaugural address made an observation. He is diabetic for the last 30 years, but he said every treatment protocol I have come across is based on a research which was done outside India. What India needs is primary research from India on Indian population, so that new treatment, new practical and effective treatment protocol can be implemented in India to control diabetes in the second largest diabetes population in the world. Now today I will talk about how this journey started from this tree to a patented product where we made a flour from this unripe jackfruit, which can be added to any product or any food which India eats using a rice flour, rice batter or a wheat flour like an idli, dosa or roti, without changing eating habits, by just adding 1 tablespoon in your breakfast, lunch and dinner. You can control blood sugar without changing your eating habits. How did this journey start? In 2013, I was writing a book about my journey going to England, to North America, working 15 years across the world, and then how I came back to my village to contribute back to the society where I grew up. And during this journey of going around the world and returning back to India, I have learned a lot of experience, and how I managed to do a national role for Microsoft sitting in a village in Kerala was the topic of the book. But while writing the book, I could see this jackfruit tree, and I realized the fruits on this tree are going to fall off and to go waste. Is there anything which I can do? Because I grew up in a village where almost this backyard of this house is smaller than the backyard I had in my house in England. But I have 5 jackfruit trees here. All of them sprouted from the earth by itself because somebody left a seed there. And these trees are growing on its own, and the fruits are growing on the tree on its own. This is the largest tree-borne fruit in the world. And this used to be a staple for 4 months in an average village in Kerala, because every household has a jackfruit tree in their backyard, and this one fruit is enough to feed 5 people in a family or 1 person for a week. Okay? So the Kerala tradition of eating this unripe jackfruit is what got my interest, because in April 2014, when I started this journey, a priest came and told me that he was taking insulin for 5 years, and one night when he replaced his rice with a cup of the traditional jackfruit meal and took his normal dose of insulin, his sugar level went too low. He had a hypoglycemic event, and that triggered an interest within me. From 2014 April, a scientific journey started, and in 2020 June, I was invited to present at the American Diabetes Association's annual conference to present a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized controlled trial on type 2 diabetes patient, and to prove that adding 1 tablespoon breakfast, lunch and dinner can reduce your fasting blood sugar, postprandial blood sugar and average blood sugar when you take it for 3 months. And that clinical trial data then later on got peer reviewed at the Nature Group journal Nutrition and Diabetes, and in June this year it got published as a scientific evidence, peer reviewed. Okay. So, that is the scientific journey I have taken from this tree to a patented product and clinically proven, published at the Diabetes Journal of American Diabetes Association, peer reviewed and published at the Nature Group Journal Nutrition and Diabetes. And that led to a significant adoption of the jackfruit flower as a medical nutrition therapy across India, and we have become a national bestseller on Amazon, as well as many doctors and nutritionists are introduce jackfruit flower as a medical nutrition therapy treatment protocol in their clinics. And that is the impact which we have done from this road never taken of taking a green jackfruit as a clinically proven product to control blood sugar without changing eating habits in India. I will now share the real experience. When you take a road never taken, you have to anticipate a lot of pitfalls, okay? And it is expected. And the reason for that is you can take it from the famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi. When you are trying to do something different, first they will ignore you, then they will laugh at you, then they will fight you, and then you win. Okay? I went through the exact same phase when I tried to take a path which was considered as bad for diabetes to prove that in its unripe stage it is actually great for diabetes. Let me give you 5 examples so that you have a realistic picture of how hard it is. Okay. The first doctor whom I approached about the incident with that Father Thomas and his hypoglycemic event, the doctor gave the unripe jackfruit as a replacement for rice for his own father, who is a diabetic patient, who used to take 38 units of insulin in the night. And when he replaced his rice with the unripe jackfruit meal, he reduced his insulin from 38 to 18, 20 units was lowered, and for 3 consecutive days his sugar level remained in control with 20 units less insulin. And he said, this is opposite to 17 years of my advice to my patients. I used to tell them, do not take it, but I am seeing the opposite here. He then gave an interview to a newspaper which went viral because it was contrary to what for 50 years what every patient in Kerala was told. But what happened was, as soon as the news got out, he received a phone call from another doctor who was supposed to be a good researcher in diabetes, and the word which I heard was blasted about going public with that data. Second time, another doctor whose mother died of diabetes at the age of 41 when he was only 11, and they have a lot of jackfruit trees in their backyard. So he was academically curious. Is it true that the unripe jackfruit as an alternate to rice good for diabetes? He started a clinical trial on 36 patients. 18 were given unripe jackfruit meal as a replacement to rice, and the other one continued with their rice. And after 3 months, he found out 80% of them, those who took the jackfruit meal, had to reduce medication. And I had a meeting with him, and luckily he published that data in a medical journal, and I was supposed to have a detailed clinical trial with him. But after some time, he told me, James, I am being laughed at. I am asked, are you a doctor of medicine or a doctor of jackfruit? And that was the end of story with that clinical trial approach. Third one, finally, when I got invited to the Diabetes India, which is the largest conference for diabetes research in India, I was able to present the nutritional and the glycemic study data at the Diabetes India conference, and the scientific committee out there gave me the 3rd prize. And I was invited to present the evidence at a continuing medical education conference in my own state in Kerala, and after I presented the data, the entire panel, we had a consensus, okay, if we can replace rice with an unripe jackfruit, the same quantity, it is medical nutrition therapy as prescribed in the guidelines. But right after the panel discussion, another professor who went on to the stage as a keynote speaker, and his first statement was, this jackfruit business is not going to help Kerala's diabetes, and everyone laughed. Okay? So I was laughed at. But then the attack started. A packet of the jackfruit flour. When one fine night, I received a call from a doctor from Pune saying that, okay, there is a social media campaign and there is something going viral that the jackfruit flour has an anti-diabetic drug in it. There is a report getting circulated. I looked at that, then I found out an individual had submitted a sample to a drug laboratory, and that sample tested positive for an anti-diabetic drug. First of all, I had to find out, is it possible that the drug compound is naturally present in the jackfruit, because my product only has a single ingredient, which is the unripe jackfruit converted to a flour. Okay? But in 2 weeks we found out it's impossible for the hydrochloride to be present naturally in jackfruit. So it was clear to us that packet was adulterated. And then the regulators from the drug department as well as from the food safety commissioner took random samples from multiple districts from Kerala and got it tested, and it was absolutely clear there was absolutely no trace of any chemical compound in the jackfruit flour except for that one packet which was given by that individual, who turns out to be a magician. Okay? And that magician's fake sample report was used to tarnish the brand for 2 weeks, but then everybody had to delete all those images and retract their statements. Okay? But the last one, that story was over, but the last one happened, as of yesterday, when I was flying back from a meeting in Bangalore and I was framing my thoughts about this talk. I was there was a hearing going on at the High Court of Kerala about a potential action on our product to be discontinued. And here is a product which is clinically proven, patented, which is being used by many nutritionists and diabetologists as a medical nutrition therapy in their practice. Okay. And there was a ruling to stop this product being marketed. Okay. And the Honorable High Court overruled that and put that order on stay, so patients can continue to have it without disruption. Now, this kind of attack, it is expected, okay? But you should never give hope. And what is in it for you? Because it's like making a tunnel through a mountain to create a shortcut, an effective solution, rather than going around the mountain. Okay? When you're trying to dig through the tunnel, you don't know how long it is going to take. You don't know what you're going to face. Okay? And that is, but you must be prepared, because if it is for a great cause, you should pursue it and anticipate any roadblocks or any level of attack, because once that phase is over, you will see the end of the tunnel, and then you will pull through, and for generations will use that new road you have taken for their benefit. And that is the contribution what you can make to the society. See it through, okay? And it is not just for you, it is for generations. It may even take longer than your lifetime to achieve, but once you get it, it is forever. And I'll give you an example. An expert on dietary fiber in India, or in fact a global expert on dietary fiber, her own husband started taking the jackfruit flour, and she saw the impact on his blood sugar level. He came down and spent 4 hours with me, and I'll just walk you through what she taught me, how the jackfruit fiber works in human body. As you take add 1 tablespoon of jackfruit flour into your idli dosa batter or roti. The extra fiber, the soluble fiber in jackfruit, as you take it, it enters your stomach. In your stomach, it starts absorbing water and becomes a gel, and starts becoming a gel, and it stays in your stomach longer and reduces gastric emptying. So, which means you feel full longer and you end up taking less food, your calorie consumption goes down. Then it moves to your small intestine. In the small intestine, it absorbs fat, cholesterol and sugar from the food which you are taking, as well as from the bile which is coming from your liver. That is how the liver fat gets filtered out, and it goes into your large intestine, and the large intestine, it ferments, becomes short chain fatty acids and becomes a feed for the gut microbiomes, and the gut microbiomes thrive in your gut lining, and that protects your gut lining by rebuilding the gut lining. So, it helps with increased satiety, it helps in reducing fat, cholesterol and sugar from your intestine, and then it provides feed to the gut microbiomes. That is the road jackfruit flour takes in your human body from mouth to gut, and that is why you are seeing the benefits beyond diabetes. It helps to reduce fat in your liver, which is the epicenter for all lifestyle diseases, and from there it gets deposited into your pancreas, that becomes type 2 diabetes, it gets into your ovaries, which becomes PCOD, and all. So, WHO says to reverse lifestyle diseases, you must reduce your calorie intake. For India, that is rice and wheat, and increase your vegetable and fruit intake. We are using a vegetable and a fruit to reduce rice and wheat, exactly what WHO is asking us to do. Reduce calorie from your primary meal, which is your rice and wheat, and increase vegetable and fruit intake. So, by making a flour from a vegetable cum fruit, you are able to replace rice flour and wheat flour and control your blood sugar. So, my key message is that if any of you would like to take the road never taken, it should be for a great cause, that because you never know how long it is going to take. Okay? If it is for a good cause, it could be for generations, and whenever you see the opposition and the pitfalls, you should smile. You are in the right direction. Those are the right signals that you are in the right direction. March forward, but remember, it should be worth it. It should be for a great cause, okay? And then just keep going ahead. You will get to the other side of the road, and then generations will take that road and will be always grateful to you. Thank you.